Hello, everyone, and welcome to your first in the family starting university as a first generation student. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the history of the land which Queen's University is located on. As Canadians, we have a collective responsibility to recognize the injustices committed against Indigenous peoples who have lived on and cared for this land long before the arrival of European settlers. Queen's campus, where I'm joining you from today, and which you can see in the picture here, is situated on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee. The Kingston area, originally known as Cataraqui, has been home to Indigenous communities for thousands of years and remains a place of significance and ongoing relationship for many Indigenous peoples today. As a student, I'm grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and study as an uninvited guest on this territory. It's important to understand that Queen's, like many institutions in Canada, was established through colonial systems that displaced Indigenous communities. As a settler and a guest, I carry a responsibility to reflect on that history and to contribute to a more just, inclusive, and respectful future. If this is new to you and you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to explore the resources offered by the Office of Indigenous Initiatives and the Four Directions Indigenous Student Center, both online and on campus here at Queen's. Thank you for taking a moment to reflect with me. I would love to begin this webinar by introducing myself to you. My name is Maddie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a concurrent education student entering my final year of my Bachelor of Education this fall with teachables in history and geography. I am also the SOAR, or Summer Orientation Student Lead, with the Student Experience Office this summer, or the SEO. Throughout my undergraduate journey at Queen's, I've found an unparalleled sense of friendship, empathy, drive, and passion through different leadership, volunteer, and experiential learning opportunities that I've been privileged to be a part of. I've always had an incredibly passionate and have been passionate about supporting incoming students transition to Queen's as a leader in my program, as the head of Con Ed orientation, and as orientation roundtable coordinator. As you will come to learn, there are so many chances for you to embrace your unique passion during your time here at Queen's. And I'm very excited to have the opportunity to be your host for this evening's webinar. Firstly, I must say congratulations to you all. Getting into and accepting university is no small feat, and it's a reflection of all of your hard work, resilience, and everything you've accomplished so far. Today, you'll hear about some of the common experiences of being the first in your family to attend university and what can be helpful for you to know as you begin this journey. That alone is something to be incredibly proud of. We hope you leave today's webinar feeling confident, informed, and reassured. And whether you're feeling excited, nervous, or somewhere in between, know that you're not alone, that you belong here, and that there is a wealth of resources ready to support you. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Student Experience Office's First Year Foundation Summer Webinars page in the next few business days. Now I'll pass it on to our first speaker today, Meg, who is the Director of Career Services and oversees the operations of the Student Experience Office. Over to you, Meg.
Thank you, Maddie. Hi, everyone. Like Maddie said, my name is Meg Ferriman. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the Senior Director of Student Experience and Career Development. So I oversee career services and our experiential learning, as well as the Student Experience Office. And the reason I'm talking to you today is because I feel really passionate about first-generation students. I was a first-generation student myself. I also did my graduate research on first-generation students and the skills and attributes that make them successful. And so I'm really happy to be here chatting with all of you. So I thought I'd start first with what is a first-generation student. And there's lots of different definitions out there, but the one that we use is a student whose parents or guardians did not attend post-secondary, so college or university. And I thought it would be interesting for you to know that there are over 250 first-gen students in this year's first-year class. And I just want to echo with what Maddie started with, which is congratulations. It is a feat to get to university, and I hope that as you're preparing to arrive on campus in the fall, that you're taking time to reflect on that and feel proud of yourself. It is amazing for all of our students to get here, but I think it's particularly amazing for first generation students who navigate extra things, and it is hard work, and maybe there are higher or different expectations. And so congratulations to all of you. We are so excited to have you. Next slide, please, Maddie. So why are we doing a special webinar for first generation students? First, I want to start with, it's not because we're assuming there will be special problems, but we do know that there may be information and norms that you may not be as familiar with as students who have family members with university experiences. And maybe you have an older sibling or a cousin or someone else, but it's still helpful to get this information before you arrive on campus. Many of you will have just as smooth a transition as any student, and the research actually shows that first generation students often have a smoother transition to university because of the work they've done during their application process and the independent skills they've developed. So please have confidence in yourself as you get ready to come to campus. You might find there are some things that you don't know, but there will be lots that you'll be able to learn about. The other thing I just wanted to acknowledge is that many of you may have intersectional identities. You might be a first generation student, but of course you have other identities. And some students experience specific barriers, and some students also want to meet other students from similar backgrounds. So if any of those things are of interest to you, I wanted to share a few of the other supports that are available on campus. So the first is the Yellow House, which is our Center for Equity and Student Inclusion. It's a great space and a great opportunity to meet other equity deserving students who often are involved on campus. They do amazing programming, and so it's a great spot to check out and connect with peers. The other is Four Directions Indigenous Student Center. This is our Indigenous Student Center located on campus. It is an amazing space. They have regular feast dinners and Monday morning fires, and it's such a good space if you identify as Indigenous and are looking to connect with community in that way. The other is Queen's Student Accessibility Services. So if you do require an accommodation, you've hopefully registered with QSAS already. You would have received information about that in your Monday emails from the Student Experience Office, and they're an excellent support if you need support navigating academics and maybe need some accommodations in the classroom to help you succeed. And then the last one I'll mention is Faith and Spiritual Life. Faith and Spiritual Life is located in Mitchell Hall, and it is a non-denominational center that offers students an opportunity to connect about their faith and spirituality. And they do great programming like soup lunches and knitting with the grandmas. It's very cool. So I would recommend checking out any of those if they're of interest to you. So one of the things that we do hear from first generation students is there's maybe some academic norms that you might not be familiar with because maybe you haven't heard of them before or haven't had a chance to connect with someone who's spent time on a university campus. So I wanted to touch base on a few of these things. You will learn all of this over time. No first-year student comes to campus knowing all the things that they need to know. And so you certainly don't need to know all these things going into your first week. And if you don't know, there's always an opportunity to ask. And so one of the things that I wanted to mention is the biggest shift in academics is that being an undergrad university student has an opportunity for a lot more independence than when you're a high school student. And so, for example, in high school, you kind of go with the flow, you're with your class, maybe you kind of know where you're going, and things are, I would say, you're led through things in a different way. And when you come to university, you really are your own leader. So no one is there to wake you to go to class in the morning. No one is there to remind you to do your homework. And so that is a big shift in independence, but we also balance it with lots of support available. So you'll hear from our two students who are going to speak later about some of the supports they've accessed, and hopefully you've engaged in some of the other first-year transition programming. But we have so many supports available for any challenge that you might face while you're on campus. The biggest shift is that we really rely on students to reach out and access those supports themselves. So you will hear from us over and over and over again as you're getting ready to go into your first year and as you get here, to please ask for help. And once you ask for it, we certainly have something that can assist you. The other thing I wanted to mention is office hours. So you will hear one of the students talk a little bit more about office hours, and you'll hear your faculty or your professors mention this in your first week of classes. Every professor has office hours, and the biggest mistake we see students make in their first and even in their second year is only using those office hours when they are struggling. My suggestion to you is to use those office hours right off the beginning of the year to connect with your professor and to build a relationship there. It's so meaningful to feel connected to the folks that are teaching you, and then they are there to guide you through the content, to support you throughout the year. The other thing I wanted to touch on was we have a lot of jargon in all universities. I've worked at a few, but I would say particularly on this campus. So there's a couple of common ones that I wanted to mention. So the first one is you'll hear folks interchange professor or faculty member. Some of them might be referred to as doctor because they have a PhD or a doctorate degree. These are the folks that are usually the primary leaders of your classes. And so you'll see them during lectures or interact with them through OnCue, which is our online learning management system. And so you will hear folks referred to as doctor, which is not a medical doctor in this case, but is an academic doctor, so has received a doctorate. The other one is teaching assistant. So this is a bit different than in high school. In high school, you have probably had educational assistants, and sorry, my notes just disappeared on me. You have probably had educational assistants. Teaching assistants are often graduate students, so they might be pursuing a master's degree or a PhD themselves in the discipline and that they're teaching. And they will likely run tutorials. They might do some of the marking of assignments and exams. They might do small groups in additions to the lecture. So those tutorials that can help you get extra support. I encourage you to connect with your TA. That is another valuable relationship to have. If you're in a science-focused program, they may run labs. And so they are often heavily involved in the delivery of your courses. I mentioned tutorials. Tutorials are small groups in addition to the lecture, and so they're a chance to discuss the content in more depth. And that is particularly useful if you find some of the content challenging, if you learn in a different way, or also if you're trying to make connection with your classmates, because sometimes those are smaller groups. And the last thing I'll mention on this slide is the Queen's Encyclopedia. Mentioned that there's a lot of jargon on campus. This can be a useful resource. If you hear a term in the beginning of the year and you're not sure what it means, chances are it's on the encyclopedia. Next slide, please. The other thing I wanted to mention is on-campus employment. So some or all of you may be interested in seeking out on-campus employment. At Career Services, we work with lots of students who work during their education. Many students work part-time, some for financial reasons, but lots to be more involved on campus. There's so many benefits to part-time work. You get to build skills, create a community. You often find mentors, and then, of course, income as well. Some of the benefits of working on campus mean that you're more linked to campus, and on-campus employers are often much more flexible and understanding about academic commitments, exam time, winter break, all of those things. So that can be really helpful. The big benefit I want to focus on at part-time work is that employers are more and more interested in skills beyond just the classroom. And so part-time work throughout your degree or an internship, if you're in a program that offers one, can be an excellent opportunity to build those skills and build your network to set you up for after graduation. For on-campus employment, the majority of fall positions are posted in August and early September. And so you can access those via My Career, and the link is there. Career Services also offers support with job search, with your resume, your cover letter. And so we do one-to-ones, we do workshops, and then there's so many resources on our website. So I highly encourage you to check those out if you are looking for employment. Some of you may have received an email stating that you're eligible for work study. So that is a different kind of part-time job on campus that is subsidized and is for students with financial need. And so if you received an email stating that you're eligible, or you can check in Solus to see if you're eligible, then you'll have access to an additional set of jobs on campus. But there's lots of employment on campus for everyone. Next slide, Maddie. The other most critical thing is finding your community. So there's so many opportunities to get to know your peers. And I know that there is a lot of pressure on meeting your core friend group during orientation. And that happens for many students, and you will make friends during orientation, but you will make lots of friends throughout your time at Queen's. So I just want to take some of the pressure off of that first week. A few key opportunities I'll mention. So there are hundreds of clubs on our campus. If you look really closely, you can kind of see that there's like Robo Gals and Queen's Model Parliament and so many different options about things that you might be passionate about or excited about. Things that you enjoy doing in your free time, like hobbies. And these are a great opportunity to meet like-minded students and participate in things that you have similar interests in. We will send you get Monday emails from the Student Experience Office, and in an upcoming email, there will be details about what's called the Tricolor Open House. That is a huge clubs fair, usually the second week of September. All of the clubs go and have a booth, and you get a chance to chat with them and hear about what they do and sign up for their newsletter. And so I highly recommend checking that out. And you can also follow the AMS Club's Instagram there, and they will post information about that. The other opportunity I wanted to mention is the Q Success First Year Mentorship Program. So the Q Success Mentorship Program is a one-on-one mentoring program where you, as a first-year student, can get matched with an upper year student. You get to select what type of mentor you would like. So if you would like someone who's in your academic program, or if you would like someone who has a similar shared interest or identity as you. So if you're a first gen student and you wanted to match with a first gen mentor, then you can do that. Or mentors with other identities. So for example, if you're a Black student and want to match with a mentor who talks about what it's like to be Black and navigate campus, then that is an option too. Registration is currently open and remains open throughout the year. And this is just such a great chance to have someone who has a bit more experience on campus help you navigate your first year. So I can't recommend that enough. So I wanted the next part of the presentation, we're going to talk a little bit about our university experiences. So you'll hear from me, and then more importantly, you will hear from two students who are currently in it. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about my own experience first, and I will say this with you are already so much further ahead than I was, because I didn't even realize I was a first generation student until much later. I went to university a bit of time ago, and we weren't talking as much about first generation students then. And the institution I went to didn't have any supports available for first generation students. And so it wasn't until later in my university experience that I realized, oh, hey, all of my roommates that I live with, whose parents went to university, are having a bit of a different experience than I am. And so that showed up in little ways, like their parents knew when the exam schedules came out and things like that and called to check in. My mom did not know, and she was super supportive and involved, but she just she didn't know how the university semesters worked and exams. And so that was a bit different. How it showed up for me, I did not know what an academic advisor was, and it still shocks me as someone who works in student affairs that I went 5 years at my university and did not once meet with an academic advisor. I would not recommend that. There are so many staff available on this campus to help you and support you throughout your journey. And the biggest thing you can do is take advantage of those supports. That is what we're here for. We are delighted when students reach out to us and need assistance. And if you don't know what to ask for, We always encourage students to come in and start with, like, what can you offer me? If you want to start with that with an academic advisor, I'm sure they would be happy to explain what their role is. I also really struggled to navigate student loans, and I didn't reach out to financial aid until the end of my degree. And that was something that definitely I regretted at points. And so I would just encourage you again to ask for help there. The other thing I did, I was really heavily involved in my campus, and you will hear from our two students that they are also heavily involved. And that served me so well. I actually, because of my financial situation, I worked full time in my third year and fourth year. And so I did an extra semester. But that work experience was invaluable to me. And that's actually where I learned about what student affairs is and how I started the career that I'm in now. And if I didn't have some of that work experience, I wouldn't have been set for employment in the same way after graduation. And that's what worked for me. And a lot of students seek out part-time employment for those reasons as well. Now, enough from me. What I really want to do is pass it off to our students because I think you will so value hearing from them. So Maddie, I think you're going to do the intro for the students, correct?
Thank you so much, Meg. Yes. First, want to thank you for sharing your story and all of your thoughtful insights and reflections about everything that's offered to first gen students. I know that that will resonate with a lot of people here and will be very impactful. And as you said, to build on all of this, we wanted to make sure that folks at home hear from students directly who also have this lived experience. So we are inviting Harshita and Nikki, who are two incredible students who also happen to be SOAR peer ambassadors, to share their student stories. Both Harshita and Nikki have navigated the transition to university with the courage, growth, and resilience that I've seen firsthand from both of them. And their stories will give you a glimpse into what's been challenging, what's helped them feel supported, and how they found community and confidence along the way. So I will pass it off to Harshita first.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Maddie, for such a warm introduction. My name is Harshita, and I'm really excited to be here as one of your student panelists today. I'm going into my fourth year at Queen's University studying honors biology and employment relations, which I know might sound like a bit of a unique combination, but it's something that I've really come to enjoy and look forward to have a career in. Outside of academics, I've been involved in a lot of student organizations, worked on Queen's campus, and also I'm a part of SOAR this year as their summer peer ambassador, which means I help incoming students as they prepare for their transition to first year. So if you're sitting here today feeling a mix of excitement and nerves, I've been there, I get it, you're not alone. I also want to start off by sharing that I am a first generation university student. That's something I'm really proud of, and I'll be honest, it also has come with a lot of unknowns that I'm still working out to this day. When I first came to Queens, I didn't really know what to expect. I had done really well in high school and was excited to be in a new environment with new people. However, I also felt the pressure of getting it right because no one at home had done this before. I didn't have any older siblings or a parent who could walk me through things like how to pick courses, what office hours were, or even how to read a syllabus properly. There were a lot of small moments in first year where I felt like I was playing catch up, while a lot of the peers around me seemed to have already known what was happening and knew what the rules were. But here's what helped me. I asked a lot of questions, like a lot. I asked upper year students, professors, orientation leaders, pretty much anyone who seemed approachable. And I slowly started to realize that most people don't have it all figured out right away. In fact, the students who seemed the most confident were often the ones who had just gotten more comfortable asking for help. This was a huge turning point for me in my journey. There were a few specific resources that made a big difference in my first year as a first generation student. The first one being the first generation student program that was offered by the Student Experience Office, also known as the SEO. This gave me the chance to meet other students with similar experiences, and just knowing that I wasn't the only one navigating university without a family how-to guide made me feel so much more grounded and as if I belonged. Another great resource that helped me out was the Peer Academic Support Services, also known as PASS. This is a service where trained upper year students help students get through things like course planning, degree requirements, time management, pretty much in anything and everything related to your academics. It was very helpful to talk to someone who had recently been through the struggle of academia through it themselves. Another huge help was professor office hours. I'll admit I was intimidated to go up to my professors at first, but the first week of university, also known as syllabus week, professors will outline certain times of certain days that you can go in and speak to them. But once I did take the step and go in to speak to these professors, I realized that they were more than happy to help. They want to see us succeed, not just with course content, but also with career ideas, research opportunities, and just general advice. The biggest resource that helped me the most was campuses that had a lot of different clubs and extracurriculars that I could join. This is where I found my community. Over the past 3.5 years, I've had the opportunity to join over 12 different executive teams that aligned with my interests, cultural clubs, advocacy groups, wellness initiatives, and just overall things that interested me in my life. These gave me a sense of belonging and reminded me that I'm more than just my grades, from which I've found community, some of my best friends, and some clubs that I now take on presidency roles in. Something I'd wish I knew before starting first year is that my journey does not have to look like everyone else's. It's easier to compare yourself to others, especially in a new environment where you might feel behind or unsure about how to do certain tasks. But what I've learned is that there's no right way to do university. You're allowed to explore, to change directions, and grow at your own pace. To wrap up, my biggest piece of advice to you as new students is this: you belong here. Whether you feel totally ready or totally not, you've earned your place. Use the resources available, connect with people, be gentle on yourself. You're brand new to this, you're still adjusting. There will be ups and downs, and that's okay because growth takes time. Thank you so much for listening to my story, and I hope something that I shared today helps you feel a little bit more confident about what's coming up ahead. And I'm really cheering all of you on one by one.
Thank you so much, Harshita. Chills, just chills. That was beautiful. Thank you for the courage that you've taken to share that. I will now pass it on to Nikki, who will be sharing her story with you next.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Maddie. And thank you, Harshita, for that lovely, lovely presentation. I feel very privileged that I'm able to share my story with you all, and I hope that you can walk away feeling a little bit more comfortable come September, a little bit more inspired for when you come to Queens. So to start off, my name is Nikki. I'm going into my 6th year next year, and I know that might sound a little shocking to you right now, but I'll run you through it. It makes a lot of sense. I'm studying a history specialization, which is different than a major or minor. And I'm currently the head manager of Walk Home, which is a student-run service ran by the Alma Mater Society, which is our student government here at Queen's. And I'm also a first generation student, so I'm the first in my immediate family to be going to a post-secondary education and pursuing a undergraduate degree, and I'm really proud about that. So if you can the next slide. Thank you so much, Maddie. So I had a very non-traditional path through university. And if you're feeling a bit nervous about come September, believe me, I was too. Um, Two things that I hope that you can take away from this talk is that one, you can make the most out of your time at Queen's, not just academically, but through all of the opportunities that are available to you on campus. And that is really what makes the experience all that worth it. And number two is that no two degrees or university journeys will look the same, and that is more than okay. So a little bit about my journey. My first year started in 2020 and it was COVID lockdowns. So, right it's smack in the middle of those lockdowns, classes were completely online, and the school was closed, essentially. I knew that I didn't work well with the online format, so I decided to be a part-time student in my first year, taking 2 courses per term. And I was working full-time at my high school job, which was a assistant at a vet clinic. So I was saving up for my big move to Kingston, which inevitably came in second year. Um, I moved to Kingston. I was off campus. I never actually stayed in a residence building. And I was really trying to find my place there. It was tough at first for sure, but I put in the effort and kind of stayed on campus, joined clubs, went to events, and try to find my community and my people there at Queens. And I'm happy to say that in my third, in my fourth, and my fifth years, remember I did a part-time the first year, which meant that I knew I was going to do a fifth year. Um, and in my third, fourth, and fifth year, I was super involved in campus, and really that is what made the experience all that worth it to me. Some of my favorite things that I had the privilege of experiencing is finding the Iranian Association of Queen's University, an AMS ratified club, which now has over 200 attendees at their events, which I'm super proud of. I was elected as student senator by the Arts and Science student body to represent students on policymaking at Queen's. I hosted some guest lectures on international affairs with some speakers like members of parliament. We even had some spies from thesis come in, which was crazy. But a lot of fun stuff there. But my most favorite has to be getting a job at AMS Walk Home. I started off as a service staff for 2 years, and now I'm currently going into my sixth year, and I'm now the head manager of Walk Home. So I run a student-run service, which is a nighttime safe walk service. So we walk people home for free to and from campus. And I postponed my graduation once again to work as the head manager of Walk Home. And you can see these pictures down here. The one on the right is me sitting on Senate. The one in the middle is me with the Irani Association at our Persian New Year event. And the one at the far left is the cats at the vet clinic. Thank you. So clearly, I didn't take a traditional route to my undergraduate degree, and that is totally okay. So to recap, I started off as a part-time student during COVID. I was working for full time and I was not feeling very connected to Queens and I didn't even live in Kingston. But over time, I started getting involved, first slowly, then all at once. So once I opened that first door to that first opportunity, so many more doors opened to me. And I went from feeling out of place or a little bit scared and lost to leading a 90 plus person student service this year, in my sixth year. And the journey wasn't fast or perfect, but it was possible because of the opportunities open here at Queens. So what I'm trying to say is that university can be more than just your academics. This is an opportunity to explore your passions, to meet new people, to gain new experiences, and to make new connections. What I like to say is that my history program, gave me valuable skills like research, writing, and critical thinking. But my degree, my bachelor's of arts, taught me good mentorship. It taught me public speaking, event planning, and it just helped me find my confidence and my purpose and a lot of my passions that I hold dear to me today. So, little pro tip here on the side, use the Queen's University major maps to guide you through your university journey. And the link is right there for you as well. You can use these major maps to guide you through your program and even into your graduation and your career path. So, great resource there for you to check out. You earned your place here. That is something that I wish I knew in my first year. Don't feel intimidated by other students' backgrounds, their programs, or their journeys. Even if they seem like they've got it all figured out, you earned your spot here too. No one shows up to Queen's to university knowing everything. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here. And you will learn everything that you need to know when it is time for you to learn. So, some helpful resources that helped me get through my past 5 years at Queen's is the Queen's General Bursary. This is a financial bursary given by Queen's to students with varying levels of criteria. So it's a general application and they'll match you to a specific bursary that applies to you. This one opens on the first day of class, so you can access it through Solus, where you did your course enrollment, through financial aid portal. The work study program is accessed through the My Career portal. This is a program for students to have a flexible on-campus job opportunity. You can work as anywhere from a research position to a marketing and media position. And it's as flexible. They understand that you're also a student with varying needs. And that is also lovely. And the last resource that I will recommend to you all is the AMS, the Alma Mater Society Student Jobs. This is where I got my start at Wacom as a part-time service staff, and it is now where I sit as a full-time salaried employee, and I'm still enrolled as a student. So this is a lovely and unique opportunity to grow your career right here at Queen's while you're still in your undergraduate studies. So access through the myams.org website to learn all about the student jobs, the services, the commissions, and the offices that are at the AMS. So to conclude, there is no right timeline. Go at your own pace. If you need to take more than 4 years to complete your undergraduate studies, believe me, it is way more common than you think. Say yes to opportunities, even if they're scary. You have no idea what doors could open for you. And also, just to reiterate, no 2 degrees or university journeys look the same, and that is more than okay. I wish you all a very lovely and successful time moving to Queens and Kingston in September, and I wish you all the best with your studies. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much, Nikki. Thank you to both you and Harshita for sharing your stories. Your honesty, your courage, and your commitment to both of you are truly inspiring, and we're so grateful that you've been a part of this space today. Well, folks, that leads us to the point of our Q&A session where we want to hear from you. As someone who is the first in your family to attend university, what are you hoping to learn or understand more about the Canadian university experience? How are you feeling about starting this new chapter at Queen's in the fall? And what questions, thoughts, or concerns are on your mind as you get ready for this transition? Please use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to send in your thoughts, and feel free to use the anonymous option if that's more comfortable. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can during this time. I will now give you all a moment to think about your questions and paste them into the Q&A feature. Okay, we've got some fantastic questions coming in here. As our in-house AMS resident, I'm going to direct this one towards Nikki. The question is, when and how do we sign up for clubs?
Yeah, that is a great question. Thank you for asking. Queens has a ton of clubs to offer. We have over 400 clubs ratified under the AMS, and we have even more clubs under each specific faculty. The best way to get involved with clubs, in my opinion, is to follow them on Instagram. That is the #1 point of contact for clubs and societies on campus, and it's where they will post everything from their events, their hiring opportunities, and just general ways that you can get involved with their clubs. So step one is to go to the myams.org website check out their clubs directory there. Find the clubs that you like. You can even filter them through specific topics. Then you can find them on Instagram and hit follow. They'll definitely start posting come September and you can get involved.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nikki. Our next question I'm going to ask to Meg. It reads, how does a minor work? I want to minor in political science, but it says poli-sci 110 and there's only poli-sci 111 and poli-sci 112. Is there an updated version of where we can find all the requirements?
I can touch on this one. I know that this year, Paul's 110 has been split into two courses, Paul's 111 and Paul's 112. Now, I'm sure that I want to say Meg can give you some more resources of who to contact to ensure that this is correct. But to clarify, Paul's 111 and 112 together will equal to Paul's 110. I hope that helps clarify.
Thanks, Nikki. And I would say for any other course registration questions, especially if you have a time tomorrow, there is a first year hotline for arts and science students that you can call during course registration to get the quickest help. And so I'm going to put the phone number for that in the chat that everyone can see.
Thank you so much, Meg. That's super helpful. I'm going to send another question your way. It reads, do they have self-storage services for students available if I go back to my home country for Christmas break?
That's a great question. So if you live in residence, you will keep your room for the entire academic year. So all your things can stay in your room over the holidays. And residents would give you like a quick checklist of things to do, like make sure your window's closed and garbage is out, but otherwise you're good to go. And then if you live off campus, then you will likely have a full year lease. And so all your things could stay in your apartment during that time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll give a couple more minutes for folks to filter any questions in, as we want to be sure that we can help you out in any way we can. We've got another great question about course selection. Meg, I'll send this your way again. What are the chances of not getting a required course?
I actually don't know if I know the answer to that, but I do know that your academic advisors will work with you to do everything they can to get you on the path that you need to be. Sometimes that takes some creativity. And so sometimes that means maybe you take a first year course later and second year or some other creative things, but they will work with you to sort it out.
Thank you so much. That's awesome. For folks who are in the Faculty of Arts and Science, I have pasted a link in the chat to academic advising services. I can speak for myself that this has been super helpful during my undergraduate degree to get a sense of what courses I like and are tailored towards my interests, but also what I need to be able to graduate. So I heavily recommend that you book an academic advising appointment. And thank you for that question. As we begin to wrap things up and just wading through all of our questions, I would like to reiterate that this webinar is going to be posted on the Student Experience Office Summers webinar page, and you will be able to access it along with all the resources suggested within the next few business days. We have another question reading, I'm a commerce student, so how can we reach an academic advisor for commerce? And can we reach them at any point in the year, even before going to university? That is a fantastic question. I think I'll speak to this quickly. First things first, there are academic advisors specifically for the Smith Commerce program. I will copy and paste that link in the chat right now, and you will be able to navigate to booking an appointment with an academic advisor, and they will be able to answer all your questions starting this summer now all throughout your undergraduate degree. So that will be a really wonderful contact and someone who you'll be able to rely on for your whole undergraduate degree for so that academic support. Our next couple questions I'm going to send Meg's way, and they are related to residence move-in. The questions are, when will we know the moving date, and will we receive an email to sign up for our move-in date and time?
Yes, you will receive everything you need to know about move-in via email from residents. And then they will also have a residence move-in webinar, which I highly recommend you attend. And I'm gonna paste I can't paste the link to, here, I'll paste this link to the move-in page. So you can register for the move-in webinar with all the details. And they'll go over everything you need to know, like what you can bring, what you need to do before, what you can't bring, parking, all the details.
Thank you, Meg. Don't worry, everyone. Everything will be laid out very succinctly for you. I can say I'm a bit of a type A person, and everything was very type A for residents move-in, from color-coded parking sections to getting numbers for your dashboard upon move-in. So there are lots of friendly people around the whole day to support you through that. The next question is about SOAR, so I will answer that one. It reads, are we allowed to contact PAs even after tomorrow? That's a great question, and I love that you have created such a meaningful relationship with the SOAR peer ambassadors. Unfortunately, their role does end as soon as SOAR is done, but fret not. The SEO has a great program for that continued mentorship relationship. It is Q Success. I have just pasted the link in the chat, and this is where you can self-match with an upper year student and have that one-on-one peer-to-peer upper year relationship to help you through all of first year. So whether you're worried about exams or needing tips for getting active, or even want a recommendation of a coffee order for on campus, there's someone who can be your go-to. So I very much recommend connecting with a Q Success mentor and finding a person that's a great upper year buddy that works for you. Another question about jobs on campus that I will ask Meg. For work study, if they've given you $2K, how does that work? Does that mean your job on campus will pay you $2K max? I don't quite understand what that means.
Yeah, that's so fair. The work study program is not as straightforward as we would like it to be. So how it works is, if you are eligible for work study, then you get access to apply for a set of jobs that are dedicated to work study students. The job posting should say how many hours it is and what the rate of pay is. And so that's how you can kind of calculate how much money you would make. The $2,000 actually goes to the employer. It doesn't go to you. So you work your hours, get paid your hourly rate, like you might if you have a summer job right now. And the employer gets reimbursed part of that from the university. And that is to encourage employers on campus to hire students with financial need. So just to recap, if you're a work study student and you're eligible, you can apply for work study jobs through the My Career portal. And then you will see on there how many hours they are and what the rate of pay is. And so that's how you can figure out how much money you'll make.
Thank you for that clarification, Meg. Hopefully that provided some extra details. We have another question asking about technology aid on campus. As I'm not too sure what the specific ask of that is, I'd like to highlight the Adaptive Technology Center offered within Stauffer Library, which is a library on Queen's campus. And this is a technology center and provided dedicated space for students, and it is home to the library accessibility services. So folks will have a wonderful chance to connect with an academic advisor there for getting technology help or extra technology support that will help them through your degree and in classes. So I have pasted a link to that in the chat, but if you wanted to give us some more context as to a specific question, then we can also totally add on to that. As our Q&A box is getting a little bit quieter, I would like to let you all know right now that tomorrow evening we will be hosting the SOAR Send Off webinar. This will be at 7:00 p.m. until 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this will be a great chance to see all of those beloved peer ambassadors for the last time and get a sense of what's coming up for the rest of summer programming and what you can expect, a little glimpse of fall orientation. On that note, I will ask each of our panelists one final question. That is, what piece of advice would you give to a first-generation student to help ensure their transition to Queen's is successful? One final piece of advice, and I will pass that over to Nikki first.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I guess reiterating what I said in my presentation is to take opportunities outside of your academics. While academics are super important in your undergraduate career, it is vital that you also attend class and do your assignments. It is also just as important to get involved on campus. It will bring you a sense of community. It will bring you a sense of passion and of purpose. And you might even find your path to your career outside and after your undergraduate studies. So please take advantage of all of the wonderful opportunities at Queen's. It is such a lovely small community where there is space for everyone to grow. And my last piece of advice would just be to take that opportunity to grow.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I love that. Harshita, your final piece of advice for a first-gen student.
I guess you could say this is like two pieces of advice in one because it's like a follow-up. But my biggest thing that helped me that I always tell everyone is that it's okay to not be okay. Things will get stressful. It's hard to adjust. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. It can be a lot, especially in the first couple weeks, whether you're missing home, you're homesick, you miss someone really close to you, you're still adjusting to classes and the pace of things. There will be a day where maybe you're sitting down and you're like, can I actually do this? Do I belong here? And it's okay to ask yourself those questions. Don't be too hard on yourself. It's going to take time to adjust, but use those resources to your advantage, whether that's academic advising, peer support, Q Success, office hours. The community is there to help you out. The university wants you to succeed. So if there's ever a day where you don't feel your greatest, maybe take the day off. Give yourself a couple hours, maybe the day, go to the gym, go to the waterfront, do something that will take your mind off of stress, and then maybe look towards a resource that you could use. Because as I said, we've all had our journey, we've all started somewhere. Your journey might not be the same as other people, but university is where you're going to grow the most as a person, from what I've learned.
That's lovely. Thank you, Harshita. And Meg, your final piece of advice.
Yeah, I'll just build off everything that's been said. I think the biggest piece of advice is ask lots of questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. You don't know what you don't know. And so don't be afraid to put yourself out there and ask a question, and also ask for help. There are so many supports and services available on campus, and we hear all the time in our offices students who are in their 4th year or maybe their 5th year who say, oh, I knew about this office, the whole time, but I didn't come here until now. And I wish I had. And so, yeah, pop into offices that you see, ask what services they offer, take advantage. Yeah, that's why we're all here, is to help students. And we love to see you. So please don't hesitate to reach out if and when you need us.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Meg. I completely echo that. Everyone at Queen's, I found it is a very large and welcoming community, and everyone has your best interest at heart. I will take a minute now to highlight some upcoming events and webinars that we have within the Student Experience Office. As aforementioned, the SOAR send-off will be happening tomorrow evening. On August 6th, we recommend you join the Fall Orientation webinar, where you will be able to get a glimpse into both university orientation and faculty orientation events and all of the memories to be made during these upbeat and very exciting Welcome to Queens. And then finally, we have the Residence Move-In webinar on August 13th. And this will be your one-stop shop for all of those questions about residence move-in, how the logistics of that will work, timing, and what support is available to you on that day. So we very much recommend that you attend all of these. And please do check out our other summer events at the Student Experience Office First Year Foundation page, where you will see a full events calendar of everything that we have to offer. On that note, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our presenters, Meg, Nikki, and Harshita, for your time this evening. And we would also like to thank everyone at home. We hope that you have a lovely night, and we are looking so forward to seeing how you thrive at Queen's and really turn this place into your home. Have a lovely evening, everyone.